Right.
I do have to run and get a charger, though. I'll be right back.
Okay. Why don't I quickly share my screen?
I like Tully's jungle-themed conference room. Did anyone get a look at that wallpaper?
It's a bit mysterious.
Well, it totally is. I thought it was like a faux, like jade marble sort of pattern, but you're right.
Yeah, I'm also curious what the Q stands for. I don't know. Okay, great.
Whose office are you in?
This is a Sunlight. This is a WeWork that Sunlight is space in.
What's the queue for?
The queue.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Rob.
It's important.
That's well, yeah.
Inquiring minds want to know.
It's James Bond. I deal with all the like special gadgets that. It's just they have a bunch of rooms, and this is room Q. Floor 9, room Q. It's the White House WeWork, which is like right 1 block away from the White House, and on the top floor you could do literal White House oversight.
Nice. We love the literal. So just quick updates. So 2 users are in production, which is great. And the other thing I want to talk about is the holiday schedules. So do we want to have these? I mean, I'm flexible, so I'm happy to have these meetings. Do we want to shift anything? I think, Kevin said that he was going to be out for certain things. If we need to reschedule anything, feel free to contact me. Or should we just keep them as is and people can join if they can, and then we'll just sort of give updates in Slack is another option.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like on the road for like 2 weeks, so don't try to like shift things to. I won't be able to make anything. So.
Okay. So fortunately, the Wednesday calls don't follow an exact holiday. So why don't we just keep them, and then we'll sort of take them from there. If people find that they can't make it, maybe there'll be shorter calls, or maybe we'll just run through an agenda with updates in Slack, or I can make a doc and we can just fill in what we're doing. I think as we're sort of trying to do this, new processes that we talked about just a little bit before, I think we might have a better idea of what people are working on in general too. So if the holidays are a little bumpy, I think it'll be okay. Toli, do you have an analyst update?
Sure. Well, so first off, thanks Rob for helping out with compiling some of those links for the report. We're going to have a report coming out, send out to an embargo tomorrow. Over 90 documents that were removed from the National Park Service website. And Rob, I can follow up with you on that, but if you'd like, happy to put you as a contributor on the report. You can let me know. Other than that, we are in the process of transitioning roles for a lot of the analysts. Specifically, I'm working with Jake Wiley, who is going to be taking over as an analyst coordinator, which is generally you know, running the analyst meeting and being a point of contact with analysts, keeping track of what everyone's doing in terms of report writing and monitoring, and kind of being a point person in general on some of these issues, also helping with onboarding. So yeah, it's really great that he's excited to take that on because it's going to be a big help. And then also working with other analysts to launch a research team that's going to be working kind of more on investigations, and also getting people up to speed in terms of report reviewing. So it's going to be really great to have everyone's help there and get more people involved. And then in terms of grants and kind of the finance work, Marcy, Beck, and Ray, I guess you were also interested in helping out with that. So excited to talk and discuss that strategy for that going forward. Other than that, the next 2 weeks are going to be optional meetings for the analysts, but still going to be meetings are going to be held in case you want to check in and talk. I don't think there's much else to discuss other than just to say that the 1 year report will be coming out on January 10th. And we will likely be releasing a little like interactive table that helps represent our reports better, where you could like select based on some classifications that tag the reports, so like climate or renewable energy, things like that. Make it easier for anyone trying to research about our work to kind of look through them. And Stephen Braun from Northeastern. So I think that's it.
Great. Dev updates. Why don't I pull up the waffle board? And so 81, sorry, 165. Any updates, Rob?
That just needs feedback, any feedback, and it has to be rebased on 164, which has to be rebased on what Kevin just merged.
Okay. I can take a look at that today, and I think if it's working, it's probably good enough. Just have some basic search if they're looking for URL, and with the, as we said before, with the find, I think we'll be in good shape. Maybe we can get into master and ask some analysts to check it out.
Yeah, I was just waiting for it to rebase because I need to like step through. I always need to like step through things just to make sure things work like when. Yeah, so that's why. But I'll review it as soon as like everything's rebased. But it looks great. Yeah, just want to make sure like nothing's off.
I think it's only one commit, so you should be able to just look at that.
Okay. What I mean is, it's like I always like to test it.
Right, but I mean you can pick that one commit onto the top of your tree.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I've never done that before. I'll figure out how to do that.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
64. Allow more complex queries from UI.
I mean that I guess that incidentally landed here on in progress because 165 referenced it. This comes back to how we chunk up work and what's important when and whatever. It should be up to you or up to some process for deciding whether we need to keep working on anything else in 64.
Yeah, if it's really O2 V02 version 2, I think it's less priority than making sure what we need to get done to make sure version 1 is ready. And there's, when we get to, let's just run through this and then maybe we look at the milestones and talk for a couple minutes on exactly how close are we, what needs to be done for version 1, and then that'll give insight on the priority of this. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. 164.
I guess it just needs to be rebased because nobody else has looked at it because Kevin didn't want to try and figure it out versus the other stuff. So
Okay. Is this, and maybe another learning too then is maybe we should have every ticket be sort of tagged for what version it is, or labeled.
well, I mean, part of the problem with this was Kevin hadn't done the one that he just merged yet, and this had to exist in order to observe any of the work in the processing improvements.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're using the newer processing, you cannot load any of its diffs without, well, any of its visual diffs without this.
Got it. Okay.
This comes back to the concerns about we're split up across all these projects, but occasionally there are cross-cutting things that need a commit in several places.
Right. So this is holding before. What issue was the other, the dependency for 164?
It is the improvement in diffs, render fancy diffs with horrible code.
Okay.
I don't know what number it is.
Right. Okay.
Sorry,
So then
129.
So then that one really is the priority, right? I mean, that's blocking stuff.
129?
129.
I don't think it's blocking anything. So like this one, 164, has to be in before 129.
Oh, sorry, I misheard.
Before 129.
Okay.
Because you can 129 can do whatever the hell it wants,
but if you're not,
as soon as 129 goes in, the UI will break.
Right,
so the UI needs this in order to support 129.
Okay. So sorry, I got that backwards. So then what's blocking 164?
Nothing now.
Okay.
It was unblocked by Kevin merging 158 or 161 just earlier today.
Okay,
or
got it.
Last night, I'm not sure which.
So this is something because so 164 is actually a high priority now. Is that?
Yeah, probably. It's probably the next thing that needs to go in.
Okay. Great. 163.
Oh yeah. I have been working on that. It's almost done. I should just like. I was thinking. I was like, I should have said this in Slack. I've been working on this, but I basically got all the changes done. I just got to style it a little more, but it's not blocked or blocking anything. I don't think.
Okay. Great.
But I probably will open a PR for that today.
Nice.
And that 158 is merged in already. I know.
Awesome.
It's still there.
181.
That's no, we should be able to just merge that. That was blocked on Kevin's handle new diff format, but shouldn't be.
I really wish that we could see the name of the repo. It's a shame that the UI only shows us web monitor it.
So true.
Here we go. Does that help?
Yes.
Did it? Oh yeah, I see the hard text. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Someday we should maybe consider being our own GitHub org, but that's can of worms.
Right. Okay. So 136.
So it looks like we're waiting on. I don't know if we're waiting on or not. This didn't handle the change counting and the rendered HTML views. I think that's handled separately. And
yeah, the render fancy diffs branch handles it. I think this is either waiting on nothing or well, it's waiting on you to decide whether it's waiting on nothing or you want to also try and handle that for the fancy diffs. Now.
I think let's just merge it and then throw the fix on top of 129 or in after 129 goes in.
Okay.
So work for you?
Yeah, sounds great.
I'm gonna pull the button. Progress.
Boom.
Nice. 81. I'm still working on. I'm a little behind on it, but I'll try to get. It's on my list to get that done today or tomorrow. 129.
Yeah, that was just waiting. Like, also, all these things are being able to merge today, so that was just waiting for the DB change to be merged. So I can finish that. Everything's dead simple now. If the processing one that Dan's about to merge, and then the one that Rob is about to merge, like it will make this like really dead simple to do.
Okay, and then we can see if anything broke. Great. 79. Oh yeah, 79, 81. Dan, these were from the Summer of Code. Should we just move this to the backlog?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
As we discussed on Slack, I think just for social reasons, let's not like aggressively close them or something, but
yeah,
we know
moving them to the backlog won't close anything, right?
Yeah, I don't think that actually affects the Git UI, does it, or GitHub UI?
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it does.
That state belongs just to the Waffle IO board. Speaking of like backlogged stuff, something that I forget who said it. I think Rob said it, that there are all these really old issues from like January where people created like ETL pipeline stage 3. You know, and do you remember these? And maybe we could go through and aggressively close those. I don't know.
Right.
Does anyone mind if I do that?
I say go for it. If no one's touched it, especially the person who opened it hasn't touched it in months, you know.
Yeah. It's just not a useful scope for a GitHub issue at this stage in the project's life. In my opinion.
Right. 88. 88. Can't quite see that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's just been on the back burner because of me trying to do all the other stuff. Yeah, I couldn't see it because of the screen of the people's pictures, but yeah, that's me. Right. But yeah, it's just been on the back burner because hasn't been high priority because we're trying to get the analysts moved over to the UI with all these changes.
Cool. That's cool. We can just let it hang. Is it truly for V1 though, or?
Well, that's like there's 0001, which is what we're really going on. So V1 is like.
I see.
That's why. Yeah.
Right.
But it was just like after the conversation that we had, I felt like, there's something I should just do like in the meanwhile.
Right. Is it a small level of work?
Yeah, like I have enough knowledge now just to at least replicate what we're doing with Gulp, but I don't know enough about like separating things into like production environment and dev environment and stuff. But I think I have enough just like at least switch over. But then it could definitely be. This is like again that delineation of like, oh, make it this perfect dev process or whatever.
Right.
Which I was trying to do, like create this like perfect dev server or whatever. But I was like, you know what? Let's just bundle things and then move assets, and I should just do that. Yeah. So, but all the other UI stuff like took priority like the last week.
Yep. No, that makes sense because that stuff is more for the 01 version. I'm just going to quickly move back here. I wanted to give a quick update, or and maybe Phil can do the honors, but the letter of intent, a lot happened actually. So it was approved by the steering committee. We submitted to PageFreezer. They signed it. We got it. And I think like an hour ago, you switched over the Google account to PageFreezer. Mm-hmm. So, Rob,
I should have like live streamed clicking the owner button.
You look confused.
Sorry, it was nothing to do with that.
Okay.
We didn't. Did we purposely not go through the things in the ready column in Waffle?
Oh,
Because there's in progress shit. I don't understand how Waffle makes things ready or in progress, or when they magically move from one to the other or back.
right.
Because there's plenty of in progress stuff in the ready column.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we do the two. And I'm actually not 100% sure too, because how Waffle is doing this stuff, because I kept on trying to move 91 and 81 to backlog and they kept on pushing it back. So,
I'm guessing maybe you can't put pull requests in backlog, but that's a guess.
Okay. But is there a pull, shouldn't it, if 79 has a pull request, shouldn't we see like the little icon? Or
Oh, yeah, you're right. They're not pull requests. I don't know. Who knows?
it's magic. Is it all right if we run long for some people? Totally, do you have some time? If you have to drop, then just let us know.
Go for it.
Okay, 129, everyone's favorite.
I think that's mainly waiting on Dan's review.
Right.
Okay,
It's still pretty horrifying, but it's less horrifying than it was.
all right.
Yep.
Give
I
Dan
have,
nightmares.
I have a review in progress, like days in the making, just trying to genuinely make my way through that, and haven't found like a contiguous block of time, so I'm chewing off 10 minutes at a time. But I do have a lot of comments queued up. Hopefully,
Okay, good.
if we wanna merge that and deploy it, and then like we'll just generate issues based on these comments, that is fine. Is that what we want to do in the spirit of moving this along?
I think it would be good to have you review and make all the comments, and in the top like overall review comment, just call out whether there are ones that you think are pretty critical, or if it's like we should work on these, but it would be based on how complicated all this is. It'd be good to merge and then do the work.
Yep.
But so that we have that review and all those comments in one place, and then you should have a chance to look through it, and if there are red flags, like you should merge it.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah,
I
because
haven't found anything that makes me worry about deploying this yet. Just stuff to file away.
yeah, that's totally reasonable. I mean, it's good to have someone look through it at least once, and then if we have known issues, we can work on those after. But probably best to have someone go through everything.
Okay, I will try very hard to submit that review today. It's been an intense week at work, but
Cool. No worries.
Okay. 88, handle local file requests.
Semi-backlogged. I don't know. Not a high priority.
Okay. I think the same with 84 and 83, correct?
Oh, I bet you couldn't move those to backlog because you're not logged in.
I just saw that warning too. Yeah, maybe that's step one. I don't know why I'm not logged in. That's really weird. I thought it was just set to always be logged in. But 113. Posting nothing or an empty object for an annotation result in a 500 error.
I think that's
Yep. Last time Rob and I talked about that, we were like, set it down for now.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's
So my understanding is like my priorities right now are finish reviewing this thing of Rob's and then switch my attention to Docker Compose. But I'm open to different.
okay. Is Docker Compose and does that issue exist already?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on Web Monitoring DB.
Okay.
No, it might be on Web Monitoring. Hang on.
there is a PR on DB that's been sitting around for a long time.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
But we had discussed in our call, Rob, a Friday or two ago, I guess, that maybe we would use the web monitoring repo for that content.
Oh, right. Yes, we did talk about that. Yes.
Okay. I will put a note in the PR in web monitor DB, so that's not just held in our heads.
So for version 0.1, is there anything not in ready? Is there anything that still needs to be done not in ready or in progress that still needs to get done before we would be ready to consider that milestone done?
Maybe you can filter the board. That might help us just see. In the top right. In the top right.
My other right.
There's some in there that I think should be. So if you scroll to the top. So clean up different names and responses, I think, is done. So we should close that.
Okay.
Or is that the work to come back around once everything is deployed and get rid of the old fallback names? Yeah.
Sorry, I'm writing a note in number 16. Say that again.
Is 132 clean up different names and responses? Is that done, or is that the work to, after everything is deployed and we no longer need the old ones, clean up the old ones?
I think that's done.
Okay. Then we should make sure 132 is closed. Somebody should close 132.
I can close that after the call. 130. Is it worth running through the backlog to prioritize these, or?
Well, I think your question was what's in here that shouldn't be in here or that we need to make sure we're working on, right?
Right.
So 130 has a PR, so I don't know why it's not attached. Maybe it's not mentioned. But that is 136, add type and change count.
Right.
So,
which was just merged. So I'll close that now.
okay. Health check for Internet Archive data. Boy, I sure need to do that.
What form are you imagining that takes? Like, because one of my long-term interests is, dashboarding stuff related to filtering and prioritization, right? Like plotting the usage of the word climate in various domains over time or something like that. And you could incorporate this in that. But right now, I guess you just want like an email.
Yeah, my shitty thinking was it would run just like the scraper does, maybe even on the same machine, and it just runs on a cron schedule, and it would either send an email or like intentionally throw an error that Sentry catches.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, like if we eventually built some dashboardy thing, then it could just send off a event and the dashboard would show it. That would be cool. But we don't have a dashboardy thing right now, and I wasn't thinking of building one for it.
Okay. Yeah, I think 124, wasn't that merged?
Yes, I'm guessing what happened is that you did not tag the issue in either the commit or the PR,
Okay.
so it didn't get closed.
All right. I can close that.
Because if you tag it in a commit, when the commit merges to master, GitHub will automatically close it.
Got it. One thing that actually I haven't tagged, I think, with, which is, I'll know to do that in the future, the issue of the pagination, which needs to be there for version 0.1, right?
Does it?
Um,
I don't think it does.
Yeah.
Because in version 0.1, I think the conception is analysts are mainly not using the UI to get around, they're getting to it from the spreadsheets.
Okay. Great. So is that 0.2 then?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we quickly talk for like 2 minutes about that, Rob? And the group, like, you know, I whipped out a little UI with, you know, sort of the standard thing where you can sort of see all the pages, click on them to get to a page. This is for all pages totally. For, you know, if you have like hundreds and hundreds of potential links, you know, you can also go to a page, or you can, you know, and also control, you know, show me 50, show me 100, show me 200. You know, Rob had a good question about, you know, what about infinite scrolling? And, you know, I thought about that a little bit, but I was thinking that sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I found it a pain sometimes when, like, you scroll and you get like down to like 100 or 200 URLs. Trying to find something you've already downloaded can be a hassle when you're dealing with large lists. And that's why I was sort of shying away from it, although it'd probably be easier to implement. So, you know, another idea too is for the clicking pagination is just to maybe at the start not have like the jumping and the sort of, and just show people like, you know, each page has 100 or 50, and you just see links to that, and that's like a simpler start of just, you know, all the pages 1 to 10 or whatever, with arrows going back and forth. Am I overthinking this, or do people think that infinite scrolling can be good enough for, like?
I think infinite scrolling is bad, and fixing it for 0.02 is an appropriate milestone for that feature.
Okay, so having
I had like similar concerns, but I'm not sure like how if they like because right now like this, you know, in the UI, when they go from the list view to a detail and then they go back, it just pops you back right at the top. So trying to at least go back to the same scroll position would be nice too. But then with the infinite scroll, I don't know if this is easily solved in React. But like again, it's like if they loaded a couple, they were like on record 500. I don't know enough about like the tech, if that like has to be reloaded and how do they go back to like a page. So I don't know if that's been solved or it's easily solved for that, but that I share like a similar concern too.
Well, that would depend entirely on how you built it. Like if you left it as is, there would be no problem because all we have is a list of pages, and if it's infinite scrolling, we're just adding to the list, and you'd go back to the list, and it's whatever we've got so far. But if you built it in a more complex way, so that once somebody infinitely scrolled down to page 10,000, the browser didn't crash, then you'd have to do more. I mean,
okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was like if it was easy to like go back to what they were already viewing before or not. I haven't done it, so that's why I had the question.
It's all about how you build it.
Right. But for pagination, the decision then is it's a O2 feature, and we're going to go with some sort of not infinite scrolling.
Right.
Okay. Great. I'll update that ticket or issue. Great.
While we're milestoning thing, it's another sort of big picture question is I've had a hard time knowing how to think about deployment stuff and which milestone it falls on, what standard of operationalizing things we want to hold ourselves to. Obviously, once analysts are in the system, making huge changes to the plumbing is a little bit scary. On the other hand, as we've said already in this call, we can just talk to our users and tell them, you know, all bets are off on Thursday because we're burning it down. Right? So is this something that we just allocate some time to in the background to sort of slowly move it along? And do we want to formally attach things to milestones so that we don't end up with a pile of technical debt by the time we get to 004 because we were never worrying about this stuff in a formal way?
What kind of issues are you talking about? I'm not 100%
So I'm
following you.
talking about like setting up logging, like systematic logging of all the requests that come in and making sure those log files are easy to get in one place. Talking about the Docker Compose work that I've been thinking about doing that makes it easy to deploy the entire stack in one move, right? And update things in one move. I guess error logging, but that one's already done, like the Sentry work that Rob has done. None of this, you know, if everything works, none of this stuff really matters, but it's there for when things break. So it doesn't fall, if we look at this just from a user perspective, none of the stuff ever gets prioritized. We have to think about it from like a sustainability perspective.
Right. This also encompasses refactoring work too.
Right.
And it's basically all the things that aren't user facing because our milestones are very user based.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, so I think a way to go about it is then we can attach those kinds of deployments to milestones, particularly if you feel like you wouldn't feel comfortable. I mean, would it make sense then to attach them to milestones where we wouldn't feel comfortable saying a milestone was done if this wasn't fixed? Or are they more arbitrary? And it's just something we just need to decide.
It'd be very hard to say, like, we're totally ready for analysts to go into the app, but we're not going to let anyone in because we really feel like we should go eat our vegetables or something like that. So I don't exactly know how to prioritize that. I've never had experience on this kind of development work, though.
Right. Rob, do you have any sort of gut reactions on how, to approach this?
I think so. I think there's a question of like whether we want to conceptualize milestones as a single timeline that we move forward through, and if so, then everything must be attached to a sense of like, before analysts are doing this sort of stuff with it, like we want to make sure that we have in fact eaten our spinach, or just putting it in places arbitrarily to make sure that we get the work done. And that's fine. Or we can have stuff that's not milestoned that way, but I think we want things to be milestoned. So
yeah, the structure I think helps make sure stuff gets done. Often. I mean something that Dan Dotson could work on. Oh, sorry.
I think a lot of them will be like super arbitrarily placed, but that's fine.
Right.
You just have to be comfortable with that.
Sure.
I mean, the other thing with a lot of this stuff is like what it really is all of it's ASAP. It's just a question of like whether it's more or less important than a user-facing feature that's in the milestone.
Right.
Right. Like if Dan has 5 hours this week, does he spend those 5 hours working on one of these like very user-y features, or does he spend it like fixing this like we really do need to fix it logging problem or error tracking problem or refactoring some part of the app problem?
Right. Yeah, this is a slightly larger conversation. I mean, some of it is with the logging stuff, if we don't feel comfortable with getting to the point where we need to turn off versioning so we don't have that in place, then it's something we'll want in place. But, the one way to frame it then is like, if we feel like the spinach is spinach that's required that we should have eaten before we turn off Virginista, then we should do it. And then and it should take precedent, or it should be just as important as other features that are required for the UI to make it so analysts can use it. And then we can deprioritize features as well as these other kinds of not feature facing or UI facing activities. Deprioritize those based on putting them to like the milestone 3 or 4.
So I'm going to go ahead and propose then that before we start working on 002 stuff, though I know there's always a little bit of cheating and I think that's healthy and okay, but before we declare 001 done, that we should have logging and we should be deploying in a way that we think we're going to keep deploying for the rest of 002, 003, 004. And then I imagine we'll learn things and perhaps change our mind, but that we should prioritize them like that. How do people feel about that?
When do you think deploying should be due? Version?
I was going to say that for 001, we should have logging because we have used it, and we should have deployment outlined so that we don't have a major disruptive outage once users are in the app.
Okay.
Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can rethink our deployment without a major disruptive outage. I may be overstating that, but I can't see past it personally. Like I can't understand exactly what impact that will have. So I'm just assuming the worst.
I mean, I think we can absolutely do large changes to the deployment in many ways without major disruptive stuff. There's some that I don't know how to do non-disruptively, but the earlier we do them, the less disruptive it will be. I'm not super worried about any of them being so disruptive that it's a problem for analysts to already be heavily using the app. I don't know that I feel like we want to have all our deployment issues solved, because I think at the speed we're going to want to have moved everything, or at least have moved DB entirely off of Heroku before we're all the way to 004, for example, which is like major deployment changes. But I don't know that I want to like block moving on from 001 on that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm more trying to set the parameters of a debate than stating on a strongly held position here. So,
but I'm with you on that. Like, we should have logging. I think it's more important actually than that to make sure we have error tracking everywhere, and we only have it in the DB right now. I've set it up so that it's easy to connect for any of the other apps, but none of the other apps are connecting to it.
Right. Okay, so I think maybe we now figured out how to split this out. Like logging and error handling are probably 001 concerns that we might be willing to punt by 1, but not 2 milestones. And then other stuff we'll sort of figure out where it makes sense later.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay, so I sent us down this tangent. It's looking at the time. We can close the tangent now.
Okay, definitely worth talking about, particularly if we're talking about just potential disruptions, even small ones in analyst work. It's just good to know what those are. Okay.
So are we still doing what's in 001?
Yes.
So we said we can close reduce list of links issue because that PR was merged. Can we close 106? I mean, have we made it effectively working and available in processing? So the only thing to do on that, whether or not we think there's a thing to do on that, is to put it in the UI?
As far as I know. I think the one that has been going through all the recent work is clearly the one that the analysts are going to be testing, so we can consider these other differs, low priority, even to add to the UI, maybe.
I think Well, probably they're not as high priority to add to the UI. I would like to get them added to the UI because I do want to set up the expectation for analysts as they start to use it that that list is a list that they have to understand what's in there so they know how to use it well, as opposed to like, now there's 5 ways to diff HTML and I don't know what to choose.
Right.
They have to know that that's there from the start and why that's there.
Yep.
Because
I think there are probably some chances that cases where this might be better.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's like a 5-minute chunk of work to do for the UI, so I think we should just do it. So we should make an issue. We should close this one. We should make an issue for UI to do it. And same for the other one, which I'm blanking the name of now. And I do especially the graph diff, tree diff. No, that's this. I'm thinking Anastasia's diff. Yeah. So also Anastasia's diff. I do want to make sure they're there also because now that I've done all this stupid work on the differ, the differ that I've been working on and Anastasia's differ in terms of their approach to what they're doing are extraordinarily similar, but they differ in one really critical aspect, which is that Anastasia's considers the tags themselves valid tokens for diffing. And the one I've been working on only considers the text valid for diffing, and then it has to sort of repair the tags around the text.
Right.
And I think it's really valuable to be able to explore whether Anastasia's differ's approach is any better or worse. Obviously, like we need the time to come back around and actually make it not take 10 seconds to run. But like, I do want to make sure it's there and that we're setting up the expectation that that is also a thing that we want to try. And we want analysts, maybe not right now, but like that we're going to improve it. And we'll want them at some point to start looking at it and saying, how does this compare? Actually, now that I've said all that, maybe it means we shouldn't put it in the UI until we've at least made it not take 10 seconds to run and it's worth them looking at.
I forgot about the performance stuff.
Full circle.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to make one issue, though, because it's not try out HTML tree diff anymore. I'm going to make an issue on the processing side to say improve the performance of these two differs and then open an issue to expose them in the UI.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and the alternative to improving performance, and probably just note this in the issue, is
Right.
if we can't improve performance, then pre-calculate and cache them.
Right.
Is there anything to discuss with 99 and 96? Oh, that's Dan, so you can finish typing, Dan.
Sorry, I'm pulling myself out. What's this?
No,
Have
finish
all
what
the
you-
links on the way out to make them target a new tab. I think that kind of I think I was sort of confused when we created that issue and misunderstanding what people actually wanted. I think what people actually wanted was rewritten links that actually went to archived content. But maybe we still also want to make the links target a new tab. I don't know. Probably not, I would guess.
I think this is, unless you have other thoughts, totally, I think maybe this is not 001.
Great.
But it is something we should revisit and figure out what we want to do. And it kind of dovetails with an issue that I don't think I've made an issue for, which is I would love to add an option to the differ to say, when you give me back the response, make all the links to sub-resources, so like images and scripts and CSS, go to the relevant internet, the closest in time Internet Archive capture. Because very often we show pages where like the styling is weird and broken because it has since changed, or the JavaScript is, or it's just totally gone because it's since changed. And the
Cool.
broken diff example, maybe we just need to look at it and see if we fixed it with super fancy diffs with horrible code.
I can check 99.
Okay.
Did anyone have strong feelings on when to do this performance or pre-caching stuff? I would guess we don't really know what milestone we want that on yet. It's not a blocker for 1.
Yeah, I don't think there's a blocker for 1.
Right, because one isn't using that differ, right?
Well, it's this thing of like we'd like the analysts to get used to the idea that they're
Right. Okay.
I'm going to put it on 2, and we can always punt it again.
Okay.
All right.
So we're at 3 o'clock. I'm just gonna, I think we talked a lot about milestones, and I think we all are aware of the page freezer update. We talked about pagination versus infinite scroll, so I think we're good. I'm also going to suggest maybe in the future, I think we need an hour. If we're going to go into this level of granularity of the tickets or the issues, I think we'll probably need an hour. Totally, I don't know if you necessarily need to be in all of it, but maybe we do some of this just administrative stuff, front load it, and then spend the rest of the time as a group. And you can either listen in or drop off if you have another commitment. And I can reorder this, and then we'll just spend more time in Waffle because I think these conversations are productive.
I would like to forward the idea that, well, I think these conversations are productive and valuable. We should see if we can find a way to not have them every week.
Okay. So less check-ins or?
No, I mean the like ultra granularly taking forever by going through every issue ever in Waffle. And maybe that is like most of the time we have this meeting, don't say a whole lot about the issue. When you say, I'm there on it, I'm still working on it, I've put this aside or something, make it stand up style. You've got 15 seconds, do your 3 things.
Okay.
I don't know, but some way to not take an hour every week for this meeting.
Sure. We could also look at it maybe there occasionally if we just, we just have occasional ones where we just need a little more project planning sort of style meetings, and we just run through them versus having to go through everything all the time. So when we feel like we're worried about the next set of work, then we need to go through and really see what in the backlog is or something. We can think about it. We can take it offline too, especially because the meetings already run so long. All right. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Yep.
And I'll see you in Slack. I think we all have our action items. I'll update what I can, and then we'll take it from there.
Cool.
Okay.
A quick question or comment, I guess. The kind of the PM feedback conversation. I do think that there are a few threads there that we didn't really touch on, and maybe half an hour is short. So I wanted to note that. I guess I'm not exactly clear on some of the next steps and priorities, although it sounds. I think the feedback was good. So maybe that we can continue this over Slack, but just wanted to note that.
Sure. Yeah, I'll take a look at the notes, and then we can sort of consolidate them into actual things to work on. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. See you, everybody.
Bye.